Hello, I want to do a rock meditation video. My brain is on fire, it's like fireworks. I only got an hour's sleep last night because I am my I am not deliberately thinking, but my brain is thinking about my family. And my brain is incessantly thinking about my family, about my mother mainly. And it's pure hell. It's pure hell. So I'm gonna make this video here for myself and for everyone else who goes through some similar painful, torturous, agonizing phases. When you don't get enough sleep, when you're trying to do the household or try to accomplish anything, every single step is an ordeal. Every move is an ordeal. My OCD flares up like fire. OCD rituals and particularly the incessant ones with this thinking and these made up rituals, all kinds of different dysfunctional rituals that I'm doing, that I have to do, because it feels like if I don't do the rituals, then something terrible is going to happen, or then I would cause, then I don't even want to say it, afraid that my family could somehow be affected by this, and I have to prevent that from happening. I have lava fields of rage inside of me. These lava fields of rage, they will cause people to either take drugs or go out and shoot people. That's what that does. That's what that mental state that I'm in does. And I know that those people, they don't get enough sleep either. They are in rage. Then they don't sleep because their brains are on fire. They are in rage. Then when they don't get sleep, the situation gets worse every day. And it gets so bad that at some point they will snap. Or they will reach out to drugs before that happens. I am not doing either one. I am not going to snap. I have a real huge prefrontal cortex. I have a big Frankenstein forehead. There's a big prefrontal cortex in there, and that functions. That functions in the worst of mental states. And that prevents me from doing all kinds of mischief, from doing all kinds of homunculus induced wishes and act outs. All kinds of things, hormone driven, hormone whipped, as I see other people do, or rage driven, rage whipped, or ego whipped, or whatever people do, bragging and arrogance and religious, grandiose paranoia shit that people go through. I don't do any of this. And I tell you, it is raw. It is raw. It is as raw as fireworks in the brain. Okay. And the prefrontal Frankenstein, prefrontal cortex, it functions and it says all the time, I'm going through this, I'm going through this, I'm making it through this. Because I want to make it through this, and I've been saying this for several hours straight while I was doing household chores. Putting boots on becomes a Herculean ordeal when you don't get sleep. It becomes so bad that you just want to throw these boots. You want to throw them through the window. You want to bust the window. You want to hear it bust. You want to put your arm into it, and you want to see your own blood. That's the mental state that I'm in right now. Been in that mental state many times in my life. It started very early for me. Matter of fact, it started right after birth. This could be genetic, okay? It could be, it's definitely genetic. And then it becomes incredibly aggravated by the environmental circumstances, by pollution, by wrong food, junk food, and by a mother that can't deal with this at all, by a mother that doesn't get sleep, that has never worked on her emotional issues, that is completely unconscious. And then it becomes aggravated. It was so bad as a child that at age 2 I was hitting my head real hard against the floor. Real hard. And I would tear my hair out, and this would go on every year. Every year. I hated my mother so much that when I was 5, I pulled out a very large kitchen knife. Very large, like 3 feet, like a sword almost. I went over to her and I threatened to stab her in the belly with that. I said, I'm going to kill you. I said, I hate you. She got very scared. She thought that there must be an abnormality in my brain. I didn't hurt her. My prefrontal Frankenstein cortex stopped me from doing it. It said no. It said to me, no, you don't need to do this. You don't need to do it. I pushed my brother down when I was 7 or 8. I pushed him down on the ground real hard. I didn't realize how much force I had, how much power I had already. My brother was about 3 years old, and I was 8, something like that. Yeah, he was definitely not 2, he was 3. He was running around and he wanted to participate. He wanted to play with my girlfriend that I had brought home, and I wanted her for myself. And I was jealous again. Jealousy is so extreme in my body. It's raw and fireworks and extreme. A mother can prevent that from happening. A mother can prevent her child from derailing into such a lifetime of mental torment. A mother can prevent her child from not only hurting herself, but hurting others and other beings. And it's happening in the world. They don't have that Frankenstein prefrontal cortex. And it feels like a relief temporarily, to let anger out. It's only a temporary thing, and we can actually get addicted to it. Yes, we can get addicted to this. You'd be surprised what we can get addicted to. We can get addicted to anything that gives us a little bit of relief, however temporary. It creates a short circuit. It is an endorphin releasing short circuit. It's the same as the gambler has. It's the same as the sex addict has, and the cocaine addict, and the heroin addict. Okay? It's the same as a religious person has. People who talk in tongues. My husband's dad, he talked to him about this. He told him about that. He was a minister in a church, Pentecostal. He and my husband's mother, I have real hard time talking because I didn't get enough sleep. Very hard time talking, finding the right words. I have to talk real slowly, like I said earlier, for 3 hours straight. 1 centimeter at a time. I'm going through this. I tried to sleep then. I tried to take a nap. I can't sleep. When you have rage that is so big, like fireworks, how can you sleep? You can't. There's no way you can sleep. Last night when I tried to sleep, as was in so many instances and so many nights in my life, where I put my head on the pillow and it actually feels like my head is hovering over the pillow. That's how tense I am. There's tension in my entire head and all the way down my spine. And when I lie down on the side with my head on the pillow, I want to put I want to press my head into the pillow, right? I want my head to relax into the pillow, right? But it isn't. It may seem like my head is on the pillow, but it feels like my head is hovering over the pillow. So and then I tried something again. I did this before. I actually put my head over the pillow, like a foot over the pillow, in this position. And I stayed like this. And it's very difficult, strains your muscles. But it did not feel different to when the head was actually on the pillow. So it felt the same way. Exactly the same way. That's how tense I am. My entire head is on fire. It's fireworks going on in there. Someone else would run to a psychiatrist or go into the hospital. They would say, I don't know how to continue with this. They would not be able to function at all. They couldn't work like this. There's no way you can work. My head felt like it was hovering over the pillow in extreme tension. This is extreme tension going through my head, my whole head, and down my spine and into my whole body. Extreme tension. And a tension where you feel like you want to throw up. Where your whole body is so stressed that you feel like you want to throw up. Just want to throw up. I don't even have an appetite. The only thing that I feel like doing is I feel like damaging something. I feel like throwing ceramic out of the window and onto the pavement. But I'm not going to do it because I don't want an animal step on those pieces of glass or ceramic. My prefrontal cortex is telling me the consequences of all of this. I have extreme paranoia. I feel like there are people that wish me death, and there are people that wish me death, absolutely. I talk to them, I've seen their comments. But I feel like that I also feel like my family wants me to commit suicide. This may be just a paranoia, but it feels very strong and feels very real. My mother would have killed me in Kenya when I was 11 years old. She would have let me die from salmonella. It was just the last moment when I said to her, "Mommy, I want to die." That's when alarm came on in her head, not because she was worried for me, but because she was worried about the consequences of her letting me die in that hotel room. The consequences would have been that she would go to prison, and she can't let herself do that. Not so much because she would be ending up in prison and not getting good food to eat, but because that would look bad to society. She wanted me to die. Would have been so much easier if I had. I was so sick many times in my childhood that I almost died. Many times, in Germany too. Many times where I was real close to death. And then the night nurse, the night doctor would come. A real bad one. A bad one that would hit me on the back while I'm sleeping. And then I would wake up and I would throw up as I wake up. Did she make us deliberately sick? It's just a question. Did my mother make my brother and me deliberately sick so that the doctor would come to the house? That is my question. There's a name for this. It's called Munchausen and proxy. Many kids have died through mothers that made them sick deliberately so that the doctor would come to the house so that they'd have someone to talk to. There is no prefrontal cortex in that moment, and there is no more sanity at all. Complete insanity. It's a complete split that causes that. Complete unconsciousness that causes this. So how do we help people become aware about this? How do we do it? By making videos for YouTube. If every single person would make a video about this, we can address these issues and start working on it, start healing it. Then the world can become a better place. Beings would not have to suffer anymore. A terribly sad person. A pitiful existence is my mother. Pitiful. Infinitely mentally ill. I feel like turning this off again. I already did 5 attempts because I can't stand myself today. I can't stand it. I can't stand it. I nitpick myself apart. I'm mega self-conscious. Mega awkward and mega self-critical. Everything is aggravated when you don't get enough sleep. Everything that's already there gets aggravated by 100 times or 1,000 times. I want to break off from my family, and I want to distance myself from all of this. But I see I can't. I'm sending my mother a package for her birthday and a letter. And I say in that letter, I love you unconditionally. I love you infinitely. No matter what I feel, no matter what's going on. Even if you murdered me, you know, I'm not saying that in the letter. I'm saying that now. It wouldn't matter what she did. I'd still love this body and brain cells and cells that host body. Still love that. The ego, her ego just wants to help her. It's a misunderstanding what the ego is doing. The ego is misunderstanding everything. It's just a misunderstanding. It's a split consciousness. That's what that is. Yeah. There's hell behind it. There's hellfire and brimstone underneath. I trigger my mother hellishly. So hellishly that she can't stand it. This happened already after birth. I triggered her hellishly my entire life. I made my mother suffer in agony. I made my mother feel torture without knowing it, without understanding it. I'm just me, Nicola. But my existence tortured her and still does. So I don't blame her if she wants me dead. I don't even blame her. But put yourself in my shoes for 1 second and see it from my perspective. See it from the perspective of the 11-year-old girl in the hotel room. Mommy, I want to die. I can't go on like this. I was non-stop throwing up and having diarrhea. Non-stop. Green stuff came out of my stomach. I had nothing in there anymore. I would drink a sip of water, it would come back out. The doctor, when he finally came to the hotel room, was very upset when he saw that. He asked her, how long has she been sick like this? He immediately gave me medication. How long has she been sick like this? 4 days or so. I was about to die. He saw that it wasn't very long anymore. It was just a matter of an hour or two, and I would have bleeped out. She didn't want to go to prison, so she hated me. She hated me. My entire life, she still does. I can see it in every conversation with her. I feel it. I see it. Every time when I felt good, when I felt good, when I felt balanced, and I happened to talk to her, or I was staying at their house at that moment, and I felt good. She couldn't stand it. She could not stand seeing me feeling good. Can't stand it. It was almost like me feeling good was erasing her, was like annihilating her existence. I didn't know. How do I know? I realized this just in recent years. Just in the last couple of years, I started to realize all of these things. That happened all by myself. My brother doesn't trigger her because he's a boy, he's a man. He doesn't erase her from this planet. It's me, I am. The girl, the woman. It's a threat. It's like mirror, mirror on the wall. That's what it is. Frau Königin, ihr seid die Schönste im ganzen Land. Frau Königin. Frau Queen. The Ice Queen. Blauer Gott, bitte beschütze uns, blauer Gott. I'm not going to the psychiatrist. I'm not going to snap. I'm not going to implode either. I'm not going to commit suicide. I have to be here for my papa dog. My papa dog needs me. So I take some herbs from the garden, Pieris japonica and salal. Those are pain medicine herbs. They're very strong. Later tonight I'm going to make myself a blend. I already took some. I'll make a blend with some fruits. I want to be here for my papa dog. I'm not going to take too many of those herbs. I have to be careful not to take too many of them. For 54 years, 54 years, I suffered hell, hellishly, hellfire, extreme suffering for 54 years. Please, people, do not bring more living beings into this world. Do not cause more suffering. Do not cause more suffering, please. For anyone who says, why don't you just jump off the bridge, which someone said to me on Facebook a couple of years ago, he said, why don't you jump off the bridge? He blocked me, I couldn't even respond, it's okay. But my message to those people, and there are many people that told me that, why don't you just kill yourself? You know, they will say, it's very easy, start with yourself, you know, eliminate yourself from this existence. This is my message to them. I had 3 abortions because I didn't want to cause beings to exist and suffer. Very simple, okay? I had 2 suicide attempts. I tried to rid myself of this existence. And I want to tell you something. I want to share a secret with you haters out there. It is extremely difficult to commit suicide. Just for anyone, just as a fact check, it is extremely difficult. Our bodies are, through evolution, they have internal self-rescue mechanisms in them. It goes through many consciousness instances with that. It starts with the upper consciousness, goes through the subconsciousness, goes through the limbic system, goes through the brainstem, it goes through the visceral organ function. Every cell has its built-in survival mechanism. To go against all of this, do you know what that entails? To go against all of this? I know, because I've been there many times. Not just 2 times. 2 times I tried. I really tried to commit suicide. But many, many more times where I got to that point, to that threshold. So I know what it feels like. It's pure hell. To get to that state where you are actually gonna do something that is, the fear of the body is so extreme, so powerful fear. The body will scream even without you conscious being, without the consciousness turned on. The body will scream. My mouth will scream, and it has happened. It happened in LA, in the ICU. I took about 100 pills from my psychiatrist. I didn't realize that they were already designed not to kill a person. But they can cause brain damage, and they had to give me charcoal to counterbalance that, the toxicity. I fell unconscious after the guy hooked me up to the EKG machine. The upper consciousness shut off, because I don't have any memories of that at all. The last thing that I remembered was that I started to panic. My upper consciousness started to panic. My whole body started, every cell in my body started to panic. And my body said, you must get up, you must sit up, you must sit up. If you don't sit up, your heart will stop. You must sit up now. So I tried to sit up, and it was very difficult. Hooked up to the EKG machine with cords. I got up, that whole thing flung over, and I didn't even notice it. I got up, I managed to put my feet on the floor, and the floor, it was like lead. The floor was like lead. The floor was pulling me. The floor was pulling me down, like I had 1,000 times more gravity. The floor was pulling me down, and that's when I lost complete consciousness. And after I lost complete consciousness, my body started to scream. There was still the medusa in there. My mouth started to scream. My belly, my guts started to scream. I screamed so loud and so scary and so monstrously that these people, I don't know where they were in the meantime. They should not have left me there alone. They came running back in and put me back on that roller stretcher. And they gave me something. They gave me an intravenous anti-drug or something, some kind of heart rate stabilizing medication. And I was knocked out, first of all. I was knocked out for several hours. Then I woke up in a hospital room. My husband was sitting there holding my hand, and he was crying. And I was going in and out of consciousness. And he would say, "Nikki, Nikki," and it was real loud in my ears. "Nikki, Nikki, Nikki, please, don't go. Nikki, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Nikki." And I would come back to consciousness. And I would look at him, and I couldn't say anything. I didn't have the strength to say anything. And I would go back out of consciousness. They would go back and forth, until they finally came in and they asked my husband to leave. They said I needed to sleep. After a couple of hours of sleeping, I came back to consciousness. There was the guy, the Oriental guy, the cardiologist. And he stood there by my head, and I think he had his hand on my shoulder, and he said, "Boy, did you scream." I said, "What?" "I don't remember screaming," he said, "when you fell into out of consciousness, your body screamed like a monster," he said. He's never heard anything like this ever. That is the survival instinct in us. I feel like my third one is coming up. Okay, it is coming up. It's hard to die because the body doesn't want to die. So for anyone to say, "Why don't you just jump off the bridge?" It takes an awful lot to get there, to that point. It takes an awful lot. So when someone says to me, "I'm suicidal," I take that very darn seriously. And I say, "I'm here for you. I am here. You can count on me 100%. I am here for you. I'm here for you, alive or in the beyond. Later on, I will be in the beyond. Okay, I'm here for you, either way. I love my mother unconditionally. I know how hard this is for her, everything. I know how much she suffers. She wouldn't be doing what she's doing if she didn't suffer. Nobody would do anything horrible unless they are tormented. This is a fact. That so far I know now. That doesn't mean we need to get criminals out of prison. That's not what I'm saying. All I'm saying is I know that when people do terrible things, that they're suffering underneath. Okay. But there are different people, and they have different forms of conscious awareness. They have different brain formations. I happen to have a very conscientious and compassionate brain. And with this compassionate brain, it wouldn't matter how I suffer. I would never hurt anyone. I would rather die. I pray to my blue God to make me die instead of ever becoming insane, where I would do something terrible. Okay, so That one is absolutely for sure in my life. I would hurt myself. I will never hurt anyone else. I will never hurt another living being. No matter how tormented and crazy and how many fireworks are in my brain. You know, there are people that are afraid to touch a knife. I am one of those. Because I'm afraid that what my hand might do outside of my consciousness. But that's just a fear. It's a paranoia. It's a mental illness. I had that many times in my life. It's a form of OCD. It's a fear, but I would never hurt another living being. Never. But I'm not suicidal, and I'm not going to hurt myself because I want to be here for my papa dog. Okay. I have to be here for my papa dog. I have to be sane and well so that I can take care of my papa dog because he deserves a good life. He deserves happiness. And I am infinitely grateful to myself that I had abortions. Infinitely grateful. Having abortions is an act of kindness and infinite compassion because we prevent beings from suffering. Okay? So I wish you all the best. Take care.